So we're jumping into Pinot Noir now. So Pinot Noir is known for its aromas and flavors of strawberry, cherry, wet hay, earth, mushroom, and forest. In 2015, Pinot Noir was grown on 13,000 acres in Sonoma County, representing about 20% of the region's vineyard acreage, which is just slightly more than Cabernet real estate. So 20% of the acreage in Sonoma at one time was Pinot Noir. So the Russian River Valley, the Sonoma Coast, and Coronera sub-AVAs are known for producing exceptional Pinot Noirs. And Sonoma Pinot Noirs tend to be more intensely fruity and full-bodied. Once again, that's that influence by being close to the ocean, getting some of those lighter flavors coming at it directly. Now this is the one that's coming around. Naturally, I had to have one Wagner followed by another Wagner because, well, for those of you that have the wine, what do you think of it so far? It's pretty good, right? A lot of fruit, a lot of character. So this is 5th generation Bella Gloss Wines maker Joseph Wagner. He's crafting another stimulating Pinot Noir. Cranberry and red apple and toasty cinnamon and vanilla. See if you can find those things. Sip it. Move it around. So this is Joe Wagner. He is famously the black sheep of the Camus family. So he formed Copper Cane in 2014 after the success of Bella Gloss, which is what we're holding there, which was a tribute to his grandmother, and the world-renowned Meiomi. You can't turn on the TV without seeing a commercial for Meiomi.
Yeah, and ruined it. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Beautiful point, well made. So, in the sale of Meiomi, because he created it, he built it up, he made it what it was, he sold the name and the current inventory, but none of the land or the grapes. He kept all of what made that wine to himself. They got what he had at the time, and they got the name, and that was it. So, if you ever want to try what Meiomi was, go grab a bottle of Vinstone, boom, because that's him essentially making what Meiomi was at the time. And to hear him tell it was that he knew that because it was growing and becoming this behemoth of a brand, that to try and keep it going, he would either have to start cutting corners and turn it into a cheap junk wine, which would consume his life, or he would sell it at the height of its popularity. He chose to sell it because he didn't want to spend his life invested in this, what he felt, subpar wine.
Yeah, I like my
It's not good these days.
So he got rid of Meiomi, took the money and run, and started doing more interesting things. He invested it in doing Copper Cane, which Copper Cane is as the grapes, they're green as they start and very firm. As they reach what's called veraison, where the color starts to come in and you see that darker, richer color, they will begin to liquefy the skins and get a little softer, get that color, and the vine, the cane itself, will start to turn a darker brown color. So it begins to be known as the Copper Cane, which really just means that it is closer, if not already, ready for harvest. Which I think is kind of a perfect name for him to choose. Leaving out from under his family's thumb is, I'm going to call my company the I'm Ready Vines.
So what is it about the Vinstone? Is that also Pinot Noir, you said?
That is. So the Vinstone is a tri-appellation. So like a Venn diagram, boom, 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 it is 3 different appellations that were the ones that he was using when he was making Meiomi. Because when it started, it was a tri-appellation as well. It isn't anymore, which brings us back to our designation of AVAs, which you can call it from these AVAs if you use these percentages of it. And now they just call it California Pinot Noir.
So how does it compare to a Tuli?
Well, what do you think of the Tuli?
Not bad.
It's pretty
I
good.
know, we got some of this one. So we've liked it before, we've had it before, we know it's good.
So this is a deeper, richer, denser kind of Pinot Noir, especially in comparison to what Vinstone is, which is a little bit lighter, a touch, I don't know if I want to say earthier, but
Hey, Sean,
yes.
I just got from the Vinstone.
Yeah.
Really, really good Pinot Noir.
Is it good?
It's
Okay.
really good.
How would you compare it to a bourbon?
French.
What, you would do it? You like, yeah, go in there, yeah, go in there.
Yeah, we like our French.
No.
I know.
No, totally different style.
Different world?
Yeah, the climate and everything is too different, the soil type is too different, it just,
What about
it's too fruity.
Lammet?
It's a lot fruitier. Well, Lammet also is quite a bit fruitier than what comes out of Burgundy, typically speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want the drier, earthier, less fruit, then you go to the French styles. You go
Yeah.
Burgundy.
Yeah.
So this guy, Joe Wagner, is making Torial, Vinstone, Bowen, Bella Gloss, Wilt, Red Count. He's all over the place. Do you kind of like it?
These are all beautiful.
So Tuli means sharing. I'm enjoying sharing with all of you. So, here was some of what that looked like. He had these wax blocks, the machine moving bottles around. The worker was placing the pull tabs on the bottles. This is for Bella Gloss specifically. The arm lift the bottles from the bottom, dip them in their wax, and then a cool water bath, and then heat gun dry them to get that particular flavor. Now, some of you might have noticed that this wine uses a screw cap. His feeling on that was that he, if he can get away with it, will no longer be using cork, unless it's wrapped in wax. His feeling on that was that any of the reserve wines that he had that had been screw capped, that hadn't allowed any air in, tasted fresher and better than the ones that had been corked. And the cork usually, it allows that little bit of air in, which is intentional. It gets that little bit of air, which changes the flavor. It allows it to mature. He doesn't want that to happen. So screw caps or wax to keep any of the air out. So when you see screw caps, know that there are indeed some makers that put a lot of time and effort and energy into making very good wines and do use screw caps.
No.
So this is what that looked like. Currently dipping into the wax. One dip, then dip off to the side, get it down that bottle, specifically to make it stand out on the shelves. Let the wax fall off. He also got in contact, he wanted to do wax, he had a wax style that didn't work so good, and he got a hold of the Maker's Mark people and modified his recipe accordingly. No, he put veal pork in it, but then he covered it in wax, just because he knew customers want cork. So he got around them wanting cork by giving it to them, and then wrapping it in wax so that no air would get through anyway. So it's a pretty version of a screw cap.
So aging it on the shelf does nothing.
Nope. It is what it'll be.
Same reason whiskey and bourbon.
Yeah. Yep. Hundreds and thousands of bottles. Kind of a fun time.